Taft is remembered as the heaviest president. He was 5 feet 11 inches tall and his weight peaked at 335 to 340 pounds, 152 to 154 kilograms, toward the end of his presidency, although by 1929 he weighed 244 pounds, 111 kilograms. By the time Taft became Chief Justice in 1921, his health was starting to decline, and he carefully planned a fitness regimen, walking 3 miles, 4.8 kilometers, from his home to the Capitol each day. When he walked back, he would usually go by way of Connecticut Avenue and use a particular crossing over Rock Creek. After his death, the crossing was named the Taft Bridge. Taft followed a weight loss program and hired the British Dr. N.E. York Davies as a dietary advisor. The two men corresponded regularly for over 20 years, and Taft kept a daily record of his weight, food intake, and physical activity. At Hoover's inauguration on March 4, 1929, Taft recited part of the oath incorrectly, later writing, "My memory is not always accurate and one sometimes becomes a little uncertain," misquoting again in that letter, differently. His health gradually declined over the near decade of his Chief Justiceship. Worried that if he retired his replacement would be chosen by President Herbert Hoover, whom he considered too progressive, he wrote his brother Horace in 1929, "I am older and slower and less acute and more confused. However, as long as things continue as they are, and I am able to answer to my place, I must stay on the court in order to prevent the Bolsheviki from getting control." Taft insisted on going to Cincinnati to attend the funeral of his brother Charles, who died on December 31, 1929. The strain did not improve his own health. When the court reconvened on January 6, 1930, Taft had not returned to Washington, and two opinions were delivered by Vandeventer that Taft had drafted but had been unable to complete because of his illness. Taft went to Asheville, North Carolina, for arrest, but by the end of January, he could barely speak and was hallucinating. Taft was afraid that Stone would be made Chief Justice. He did not resign until he had secured assurances from Hoover that Hughes would be chosen. Taft resigned as Chief Justice on February 3, 1930. Returning to Washington after his resignation, Taft had barely enough physical or emotional strength to sign a reply to a letter of tribute from the 8 associate justices. He died at his home in Washington, D.C., on March 8, 1930, at age 72, likely of heart disease, inflammation of the liver, and high blood pressure. Taft lay in state at the United States Capitol Rotunda. On March 11, he became the first president and first member of the Supreme Court to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. James Earl Fraser sculpted his grave marker out of Stony Creek granite.